Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. A few issues for us to deal with tonight. The return of Bola Tinubu to Nigeria and some of the issues this has raised. And of course, we go to Adamawa State tonight also to speak with the deputy governorship-elect of Adamawa State, a woman, a rare occurrence in that part of the country. Now, tonight, we'll be looking at several issues. The police have spoken. They said there is going to be an expedited action in terms of investigation into what happened about 2 weeks ago. Stay with me, everyone, because first and foremost, we need to check some of the political roundup stories.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Victoria Longton, and here are your political roundup stories for today. Youth in Adamawa State trooped out in their numbers in Yola to celebrate Eid al-Fitr and to rejoice with Governor Umaru Fintiri, who won the just concluded governorship supplementary elections. The governor who received them at the government house applauded the youth for their support and solidarity and assured them his administration will ensure that poverty is reduced in the state. In a move to reconcile aggrieved members of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, the Forum of elected ward chairmen of the APC in the state have reaffirmed their support for the former Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, as the leader of the party in the state. Reading out a 9-point communique to journalists at the end of their meeting in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, the chairman of the group, Mr. Ekwobugo Joshua, described the recent suspension of some party executives by some members of the party in the state as illegal.
We completely condemn and reject the embarrassment given to our great party by announcement of suspension and dissolution at locations through venues unknown to our party. Please see article.
And ahead of the November governorship election in Imo State, religious and traditional leaders, as well as political leaders across the party lines from Imo North Senatorial District, have passed a vote of confidence on the Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, for what they say are his giant strides and achievements in the zone and across the state in the last 3.5 years. The leaders who gathered at Umweze community in Ehime Mbano in Imo North Senatorial District of the state held deliberations over the Imo Charter of Equity, the November 11 governorship elections, and other issues that affect the development of the zone. The leaders say they adopt the proposal of the Imo Leaders Council, which stipulates that the incumbent governor, Hope Uzodimma, who is from Olu zone, finishes his 8-year tenure, then hands over power to Owerri zone, which will encourage smooth power rotation within the 3 geopolitical zones of the state.
What took place today is apt and it's a welcome development. It's something that what's doing and is done by the grace of God. Okiwe unanimous endorsed Senator Hope Uzodimma for his second term bid.
The next governorship election in Edo State might be over a year away, but the race to succeed the incumbent Gordon Obaseki is wide open to aspirants from the 3 senatorial districts. One group under the aegis of Ishan New Era believes that the next governor of Edo State should come from the Central Senatorial District for the sake of equity and fairness. Addressing journalists in Benin City, the Edo State capital, Mr. Christopher Onoye insists that the Ishan people have competent hands to govern Edo State. According to him, the last 2 governors of the state who were from other 2 senatorial districts enjoyed immense support in Ishan land. Now, those are your political roundup stories. It's back to you, Sheung.
Thank you so much, everyone. There you have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. Let's tell you that right here on Channels Television, we're not keeping our eyes away from the incident which has threatened our democracy. The incident of about 9 days ago when the REC of Adamawa State announced the winner in the election, contrary to the provisions of the electoral law. Channels Television, today we're keeping tabs on it, and it's 9 days now since that incident happened, and 8 days since INEC summoned the REC to the headquarters. But INEC has since said the man they've not been able to cite the REC. So we do hope that authorities involved will make sure that justice is served for the sake of our democracy. Let's begin with one of our top stories tonight. The president-elect, Senator Bola Tinubu, today returned to Nigeria after over a month away in Europe. Bola Tinubu said he's hale and hearty at the time when he got back to his residence in Asokoro area of Abuja. He says, contrary to speculations that he is being seriously ill. The aircraft that conveyed Mr. Tinubu touched down at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja at about 4:30 p.m. He was officially out of Nigeria on the 22nd of March and returned about a month after before his inauguration, which is scheduled to take place on the 29th of May 2023. Tinubu returned with his wife, Senator Oluremi, and they were received by the Vice President-elect, Kashim Shettima, the Plateau State Governor, Simon Lalong, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Fembeja Biamila, among other many high-ranking members of the party. Let's take a look at a timeline of Bola Tinubu's in the past weeks and what has happened. Bola Tinubu was one of the 15 or so presidential candidates who went into that election. And on the 1st of March, after about 2-3 days after that election, he was declared as a winner of that election by INEC. And on the 1st of March, the same day, INEC issued himself and his running mate certificates of return. And on the 22nd of March, Bola Tinubu jets out of Nigeria for what some of his party loyalists and supporters say. It was just a moment for him to go and take some rest after weeks of campaigns and election activities. And today, 24th of April, Bola Tinubu returns to Nigeria. Let's go to Yola now, where the deputy governor-elect in that election joins me live now. It's a rare occasion to find a woman into that kind of position, especially in that part of the country. And now is someone who has retired our position of being a vice-chancellor to take up the role of a running mate to the governor, Amadu Fintiri. Either way, it will have been a very unusual and a very historic moment for the people of Adamawa State, because the runner-up in that election is also a woman. Well, let's welcome to the program tonight the Deputy Governor-elect of Adamawa State, Professor Keleptawa Ferrauta. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program, and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, let me begin. How does this come to you? You made a decision to resign your position as a vice-chancellor, taking up that onerous task of being a politician, a running mate to a governor in your state. Was that more like an academic suicide for someone who had spent all her life in the classroom?
Well, yes and no. Life is about taking risks. And whatever you do in life amount to risks. And I knew that when I left the classroom and the university environment to take up being the running mate of the sitting governor, it's either I win or I lose. And in life, whatever comes your way, one, I believe in the fact that God orders people's destinies. And secondly, that whatever comes your way, it's a risk. And whatever you take up to do in life, as long as you believe in God and believe in yourself, God will sort it out for you.
I mean, so I'll come to a cultural, religious milieu of the northeastern region of the country, and especially politics. It is an area that most women, especially those of them that have done so well for themselves, like yourself, we dare not go into. And in fact, there hasn't been this kind of leverage being given to the women folk for this kind of exalted position to be the second person in the state. What was the underpinning issue? Was it the governor that approached you, or what exactly preempted or prompted you?
Well, the community prompted me. My people prompted me, and of course, my boss did.
So how does a victory come to you?
The glory belongs to God. It's a terrain I'm not familiar with, having grown in the university system from being a graduate assistant to a professor. It's a terrain that I've never thought of trading on. And when the victory came, of course, I look back, I know that it's not of me that have won this victory. It is God. So I return all the glory to God, and I thank the entire Adamawa family, because Adamawa State is a big family, the entire Adamawa family, for making it a reality.
What are you bringing to the table?
Well, I've been a classroom teacher. I've been the Commissioner of Education in Adamawa State. By the grace of God, I've served as the Executive Chairman of the Adamawa State Universal Basic Education. And by His grace, I just resigned my position as the Vice Chancellor of Adamawa State University, where I served for 5 years. Educationally, I know that the girl child needs a lot of help in Adamawa State. As one that has grown to this position, I'm bringing to the table the fact that the girl child needs to be allowed to go the length she can go, especially when she has the ability to go that far, like the boy child. And also to bring on the table the fact that a fellow woman or any other woman, marriage and early pregnancies should not be anything that will stop a young girl from going to school. Because as the Commissioner of Education during my time in 2015, I observed the fact that many teenage girls dropped out of school and could not make it later in life. And I feel a pain that that should not be a place where a girl will stop because she has become a mother too early in life. So I'm bringing to the table the fact that women need to be encouraged, the girl child needs to be encouraged, because when you educate a woman, she does not only contribute to the community and the society, even her family life is different from a woman that is not educated. So my passion will be to ensure that the girl child is carried along, the women folk are carried along, and we are also partakers and partners in the governance in Adamawa State.
Interesting. This program is a woman-friendly program because it's a political program, and not all the time we do find women as guests on the program. And those people who have accused the program of not really giving women a voice, that's not true. Don't worry, we are women-friendly platform right here. But, you know, we see how shy women could be from politics, and that's why when we got this opportunity to speak with you, one is very excited, and I'm wondering tonight, would you like try the luck of after these 4 years, because I know there are possibilities of court cases and all of that, if it favors you and your principal, just maybe you might push to run for governor of Adamawa State next time. Is it possible in the next 4 years?
Sean, when we reach that bridge, we cross it. For now, we're here.
that bridge in politics is a very popular one, and politicians always cross it. But I'm asking you because I know, I mean, I'm very sure that you have a lot of fun, and there's a lot of, if a couple of you have broken the ground in Adamawa State, it's not going to be alien to anybody again. Ms. Binani has tried it, and you are also in the fray. And perhaps, maybe, this will encourage, because you've talked about girl child and the female gender in Adamawa State, this might be some kind of encouragement. Is this a possibility of seeing a professor, your person, becoming the next governor of Adamawa State? Would you like to take that task?
For now, when we reach that bridge, we cross it. Let's take the deputy governorship for now. The women for now, we take the governorship, we take the second place. When we reach that bridge, the women will decide. All right, we'll wait for that popular bridge that politicians always wait to cross.
Sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's get into some of the issues. We saw what happened in Adamawa State and that very interesting incident where the REC made that decision contrary to the electoral law. For you, how did that come to you, considering the level and the growth of our democracy, especially in this Fourth Republic?
Well, I think they are all issues that are under investigation now. And it will, as a citizen, it did not come to me, well, maybe to say as a surprise, because the political terrain, like I said, is different from the classroom. But I also know that INEC and other people have grown to the level that as Nigerians, we have grown to trust them to do the right thing. So even when it happened, we believed God that the right thing will be done.
Has this hurt the cultural and the issues of unity in Adamawa State in any form?
Well, I wouldn't say so, but if you ask my personal opinion, my opinion is that Adamawa State being one family, no lines between us, wherever you're coming from. Whatever you believe in, whatever your creed, your faith, whatever part of Adamawa State you're coming from, we've lived for centuries as one big family, living, celebrating our festivities together, marrying each other, and living happily. And I think my call at this point to Adamawa people is the fact that Adamawa is bigger than us as individuals. Adamawa State will outlive all of us as politicians or as individuals. So at this point, I want to call on all indigenous and even non-indigenous that are living in Adamawa State. We should know that the state has to be one, or the state needs to be in a whole piece before anybody can emerge as a leader. And therefore, whatever we're doing, I think the essence of all we are running around for is to ensure that this state remains as a whole, not in pieces. So my plea to every person living in Adamawa State, and even those Adamawa people that are not living here in Adamawa with us, is the fact that Adamawa is bigger than all of us, and we should put our hands to build Adamawa State because we are one big family. There's no line dividing any of us, and we cannot create those lines today.
Do you think that it is necessary for the state government to create somewhat an avenue where those who have been affected, because experts have analyzed that the election had terribly hurt the unity of the people of Adamawa State, and a lot of people had felt a bit of an infighting, seeing people in different local government areas with different political leanings that are now divided along party lines. Do you think it is necessary for the government to, after the inauguration on the 29th of May, to create an avenue where you can find people in the state to unite them, to realign people, and to mend fences? Is that possible?
is possible and is very important. And that's the essence of humanity. That yes, it's human to err. We might have erred, we might have hurt each other in the process of the politicking. Now that is over. We should put it behind us as brothers and sisters, mend our fences, because the things that unite us are more than the things that divide us. And if we focus on the things that unite us as Adamawa indigenes and as citizens of this state and Nigeria, we'll build a better Adamawa state for ourselves and for children yet unborn. So I believe in the fact that it will be good, and I will speak with my boss to see where we can raise either groups or go on some kind of talks with people to ensure that we mend every fence that has been broken during this politicking. And if it goes to a level where you tell people, I'm sorry for what happened or what transpired, why not? We're human beings. We can be wrong, and people can also wrong us. And if God forgives us, I think the only thing is that he teaches us also to forgive one another. I believe that is the way to go, to ensure that Adamawa remains as one big family. That's my call.
There are some allegations, though, that there were some untoward and nocturnal meetings which happened at the government house. And I wanted to find out if you were present at those meetings. The PDP were alleging that there were some connivance with INEC officials. Are you aware of those kind of nocturnal meetings which were said to have been held to subvert and manipulate the elections? A lot of things happened in the government house. We just say you and your principal connive with INEC allegedly to manipulate the elections. Were you aware? Were you there at the day?
I'm not aware of such meetings.
Well, the allegations are that you and your principal, there were connivance to rig the election. Is that true?
That's not true, Sheung.
But what can we take home? What is the truth of the matter?
The truth of the matter is INEC as an umpire has done their job.
All right. Let me take you up on the fact that in all of this, what lesson do you think we can take away? Because this was an election that stood out, and there are a lot of lessons that this perhaps will teach the whole nation and our democracy and posterity. What is the biggest lesson, if you identify one, that we can take away from Adamawa governorship election and the supplementary election especially?
The biggest lesson I would want us to take away is the fact that leadership comes from God. And at any point we contest for leadership, we should allow God to do the final thing. And secondly, the second lesson I want us to take away is the fact that INEC as an umpire, since we have put them to do the work, we should also believe in them and trust that they will do the right thing so that citizens are satisfied with whatever they do. So in whatever things we are doing, as citizens of Nigeria and citizens of Adamawa State, the lessons we should draw from what transpired in Adamawa State is the fact that God gives leadership and that INEC has been trusted to do the announcements or to do whatever they are supposed to do as the umpire. We should allow them to do it through the proper process.
So, on a final note, how would you like to be identified and remembered, especially, as a deputy governor, knowing very well that that role is usually taking in trust of the principal's interest, and sometimes they call it the spare tire. You are the beck and call of the principal. You can do just as much as the principal wants you to do. You can go as far as the principal wants you to go. And we've seen instances in this country where deputy governorship have been relegated to the background. Does this give you any sort of worry?
No, Shehu, I'm not worried. I'm learning. I'm coming from the classroom and I'm willing to learn.
But what kind of deputy governor would you like to be?
Of course, a deputy governor that would put hands together with the principal to build a better Adamawa State.
Will you also be the one that would tell the principal that he's wrong and tell him to his face when he's wrong? Are you
Why
that
not?
blunt?
Yes, sir. My principal is the type that wants superior argument. I've worked with him in several positions, and he would take superior argument when you have your facts.
Thank you so much indeed. Professor Kaleptawa Farauta is the Deputy Governor-elect of Adamawa State. I wish you the very best, and it's an honor to have you. If there is a bell, I will ring one, because whenever I have a woman on the program, I'm always very excited. It's very unusual, because we always have male guests on the program. But thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sheil.
I appreciate
Most grateful.
Thank you.
I appreciate
We'll take a break, everyone, but when we return, one of the leaders of the APC will be joining me from Kano to speak about Bola Tinubu's return to the country after 4 weeks. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back to the program. Ismail Ahmed is a senior special assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on special intervention. He was a former national youth leader of the APC and a former member of the board of trustees of the APC. He'll be speaking with me from our Kano studio on the return of Bola Tinubu to Nigeria. Thank you so much, Ismail, and apologies for the glitch earlier with the communication. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I was asking earlier.
Thank you very much for having me.
I saw a lot of leaders of your party who went to the airport to receive Mr. Tinubu. Is this more than just a foreign trip for him?
What else can it be shown? First of all, Eid Mubarak to all our viewers. But, you know, Sean, what else can it be? It was a foreign trip. It was a time for the president-elect to go and take some time off and rest. And I have said it, you know, on this program several times during the campaign season that there's no candidate that had worked as hard as he did since we flagged off the campaign in the, you know, towards the end of September, and we flagged it off. President Muhammadu Buhari, as the chairman of the campaign council, flagged it off in early October. It has been a marathon. It was a complete marathon. We've been running from one place to another. We went to all the states. And it was non-stop. Even when he went to Chatham House in December, it was basically a walking tour. So it was a full schedule of a lot of work, about 4 or 5 months of intensive and grueling campaign, as you're well aware of, and rightly so. And we touched on every point. We did the rallies, we did the town hall meetings. He met with people. He did the backdoor works and did a lot of work. So it was an intense and grueling campaign. And after that, we had to focus. He had to focus especially. He told all of us to go back home and focus on the gubernatorial elections. He moved to Lagos, and it was another non-stop work because, of course, at the presidential election, we lost Lagos, and we needed to work hard on it for the gubernatorial and so many other states as well. And that's what happened. So after that, he took some time off. So it's very usual for party members to celebrate, you know, the return of a president-elect or governor-elect, as the case may be in some cases. I remember in 2015 with President Muhammadu Buhari, after he was elected, before he was sworn in, he took a private trip to London, to the United Kingdom, and when he came back, I and so many other people also thronged to the international airport to welcome him back. So it's absolutely normal. It's not unusual. And on the one hand, there are a lot of people complaining that we didn't celebrate enough, you know, after we won, and now we're celebrating. People are saying, why are we all thronging to welcome him back? So it was simply a trip for him to go and reflect and take stock. That's all.
Ismail, I'm very sure that you're one person that understands what optics is all about in politics. Mr. Tinubu had said he's hale and hearty. There are speculations, of course, about the state of his health, and that's why I'm saying the kind of jubilation or the kind of welcoming that he got at the airport today, that's what I'm asking. How often do we see people being welcomed at the airport if there are no other things that may be the undercurrent that a lot of Nigerians may not be aware of? The optics perhaps is in the opposite.
I told you exactly what it is. Nigerians, party members especially, and leaders of the party, just welcome the president-elect. It's a president-elect. How often do you get president-elects, coming back to the country, that people do not go and welcome them? I think that's the question you should be asking. How many president-elects have you known
perhaps it's
that have traveled to go and take some time off and come back, that people have not gone and welcomed them and celebrated? I just gave you an example that in 2015 we celebrated and we went and we welcomed cheerfully. We welcomed President Muhammadu Buhari before he was sworn in. What was wrong with that? Nobody said anything. And if for the and he said he was hale and hearty. Of course, he is hale and hearty. We've always known he's hale and hearty. And I think you've had people high up in the campaign. For example, the Minister of Works and Housing was on your show, and you asked him the same question, and he told you he had spoken to the president-elect a week before he appeared on your television, and he told you clearly that the man was fine and he was hale and hearty, and he just needed to take some time off, take stock of what's going on. So
Ismail, apologies if I may just normal. So the question is, when you say how often, the question would then be why the speculation about his state of health? Have you thought about that? Why are people speculating about his state of health?
I cannot be responsible for people's speculation. People just speculate because there are people who are cynics and naysayers who just want to always bring negative stories to certain situations. His health issue has always been something that people talked about even during the campaign. So when we shamed them, and when he shamed them in particular, by being everywhere at the same every state, by going to every town hall that we have that was organized by him, by the campaign council, by doing everything and ticking all the boxes and making sure and working really hard, they still wouldn't want to be convinced. So I cannot be responsible for people who just want to speculate on certain things that has no basis in fact. I cannot be responsible for that. And if you are going to ask me this question 100 times in different ways, it's going to be the same answer. He is hale and hearty. You've seen him when he left very well. He left in the way that, that he didn't live in an ambulance, he didn't live in anything. There's no evidence anywhere that the man was sick. He came back, hale and hearty, but party people went to receive him, just like they would if Sheun Okimbaloye tomorrow is elected president-elect, and you take a trip to one of those trips that you take on holidays, and you come back, I'm sure your party members and your supporters would go and welcome you. If you're going to ask me this question 100 times in different ways, it's going to be the same answer. The man is hale and hearty, he's back into the country, and that's it.
Interesting. Perhaps it might be a different case if your candidate and the president-elect chose to go elsewhere for vacation, maybe in the walls of this country. Maybe the speculation might be different, or maybe there might not even be any speculation about a state of health. Just maybe.
I don't think there's any way he would have gone that the people that want to speculate wouldn't have speculated. I just told you that during the campaign season, while he was out there campaigning from state to state, from Kebbi to Kano, from Borno to Bayelsa, from Lagos to Gombe. When he was campaigning, it was live on TV, people were seeing it, and still some people were saying that, that the man was not hale and hearty. And you had the case of President Muhammadu Buhari, who was here in the country, running the country as Muhammadu Buhari. You still had some people in the sections on the fringes of the society saying that, no, this is not Muhammadu Buhari, this is somebody else from Sudan and stuff like that. So you live in a country and an information age where people just sit down in the comfort of their rooms and just concoct all kinds of stories and spew it, and people just keep grappling on them without any evidence of fact.
Ismail, the president-elect has said he's ill and hearty, contrary to speculations about his ill health, that he was seriously ill. He was saying this in Asokoro earlier in Abuja, and he said that he's prepared for his inauguration on the 29th of May, and Mr. Tinubu also said that he's still consulting over those that will be part of his government. But, there is now a law signed by the president mandating constitutionally a president to send the nomination of his cabinet members to the legislature in 2 months and 60 days. Same thing with the governors. And so the question now is, politics is over. We're now being faced with the issues of governance. We're counting down to the day of inauguration. Nigerians are really waiting for the delivery of the promises of Bola Tinubu that he made. You and the leaders of the party, you guys made a lot of promises at the campaign. How serious and how ready are you guys for governance?
Absolutely, we are. I think that's part of the reason. I think Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if you looked at his manifesto, his policy document, his campaign promises, his stump speeches, those were deliberate action plans. They're not just flimsy utopian promises. These are not promises that are not deliberately thought through on how we can deliver them. And he's well aware of that. So we are ready for the inauguration. We're ready for governance. We're taking over from ourselves, so to speak, and we'll pick up, and improve on places where we have done a lot of work, and there are so many places where a lot of work has been done, and where we have faltered in the last 8 years. We try to correct them, because now benefit of hindsight, which is said to be 2020. The vision is 2020. Based on hindsight, we'll pick up. So I think he's ready. He's taken stock. He is responsible for the promises he has made. We'll all be held responsible and accountable at the end of the day. And I think he's ready to hit the ground running. And if there's one thing that I can almost be absolutely certain of, is that this president-elect would not waste time at all in constituting his cabinet and some of the key positions in his administration to help him walk through it.
It would be good to know that Tondo is not striking in the same spot twice, in the sense of in the composition of a cabinet, just as we saw in 2015. But one thing that is very fundamental here, Ismail, and let me leak this secret to you in case you're not aware, what is going on in town. I will tell you, without you having to pay for this information, is the fact that Nigerians said they were no longer interested in excuses for governance. In 2015 and even in 2019, your party you were quick to give the excuse that the PDP had left this country in shambles and they left governance in tatters, and that's the reason why you guys find it difficult to get things going. But Bola Tinubu and his friends at the campaign that promised Nigeria that they were going to bring renewed hope and they are going to raise the economy, fix the security, do this, pay free education, do this and that. I mean, the word out there is that there won't be chance for any excuse. The pressure is going to be very intense. Are you guys aware?
We're not willing to give any excuses. And besides, I don't think it was excuses in 2015 and 2016 and 2017 when we started off. But in the Buhari administration, those were not excuses, actually. Those were really factual issues that confronted us, that hit us right in the face, and it hit the Buhari administration right in the face. Yes, we may not have started as quickly as we should have in 2015, but I don't think at that time there were excuses. I think we had serious problems. We had problems with revenue. We had a lot of issues in terms of security, and everybody knew that. So it took time for the government to pick up its gauntlet and be able to start implementing its own policies based on some of the several and multiple ways it started sourcing for revenue, and to be able to meet up with the expenditure and the demands that confronted the administration at that time. But yeah, we are not going to give any excuses again. We do not have that latitude any longer. I think we are well aware of that. We're not going to kid anyone that there are tough times, and we've made promises, and knowing fully well what we're getting ourselves into. And then there will be no excuses, not even to ourselves. We're not going to give ourselves those excuses. Talking about giving Nigerians those excuses. So Nigerians should be prepared to support this administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to understand that, yes, we are going to have to deal with very serious challenges as well. Just like everything in life, these challenges keep evolving. Those that evolve will have to adapt and be able to deal with them as we go along. But yeah, there will be no excuses. Yes, if we had issues, we would be able to come out and explain to them. And the president would be willing to come out and explain where there are clear issues. But there would be no excuses. There would be an absolute deliberate method and plan to be able to deliver on the promises we've made and to be able to move this country forward.
I mean, yourself, a young person, whether I should say you're not getting any younger, but then you perhaps
No, I'm not a young person any longer, Shane, I told you. I'm 43 now.
You are not a youth any longer, but you're a young person. Even those...
yeah, okay, I'm not a youth, that's right.
Right. Yeah, so the question is that there is a youthful anger in the land, and a lot of them who are looking for every opportunity to leave Nigeria. If you look at the rate of unemployment in Nigeria is 33.3%. You look at inflation figures, they are in the double digits. You look at the insecurity in the country, hundreds of our innocent citizens are being killed every day, and perhaps these have increased the kind of anger in the land, and a lot of young persons are not happy, and they see an average politician as those guys who just faff around in the corridors of power. I mean, there are those who think that Bola Tinubu will have to earn it, the trust of Nigeria, by performing well. Are you guys aware of that youthful anger and the high expectations of average Nigerian?
I don't think you would even classify it as youthful anger like that, because there are a lot of young people. I think the majority of the millions of votes that the APC and President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu got was from young people as well. It was not from older people or anything like that. I think the huge bulge, I think the voting population generally in 2023 are largely young people. So as much as there are young people who voted against the APC, there are a lot more young people that voted for the party. But rightfully so. Let me get to the point of saying that, there are a lot of people who are feeling dampened, over the course of decades of mismanagement. It's not about this last 8 years. It's about decades of mismanagement of different and several governments, that have simply refused to do the right things when the opportunities presented themselves. And I think people got fed up, and I think younger people who are coming behind us, especially the generation coming after our own generation, are not as patient, because they do not have the experience that we had when we were growing up, for example, or the older ones or the generation before us. So impatience is growing, information is becoming more available, and the ability to travel is becoming a lot easier. The greener pastures and the ability to see the so to speak greener pastures on the other side is becoming more visible, more clearer to a lot of people. So they feel it's easier for them to jump and go to Canada because the visa process is easier, or to the UK or whatever. But I think there's a pent up, not anger, I would say, but a certain frustration and some sort of hopelessness that comes from being outside the cycle of what's happening. And I think that's what a lot of young people feel pent up and frustrated about. And I think one of the promises that the president made very clearly is that he understands that. And even after he won the election, I think in his acceptance speech, he mentioned it. He said, look, I understand what's going on. There's been an election that, we won, but, if you put the opposition parties together, their votes was much more than ours. That's a clear message. And he said, I heard that message. And these are largely from young people who feel as if, no, we don't want the status quo. We don't want people who have been in authorities before, even though they are, most of them voted for the same people that have been in authorities before. But yeah, he said he got the message, and they were working towards making sure that we're able to roll back,
all right,
and give hope. That's why the policy document was named Renewed Hope. And I think he said, and he made it very clear, and he's spoken to some of us who he has spoken to either privately or in gatherings, that look, we need to be able to communicate and engage young people and know exactly what they want so that we don't sit in our high tables and just decide that this is what is going to go for young people.
Yeah.
So I think he is very aware of that,
yeah.
and it's an issue that he wants to tackle headlong.
Yeah, so I just have about 30 or 40 seconds to go, but I know you're a bourgeois, so it might be difficult for you to know what some of us in the other
No. I absolutely do not agree with that label. I absolutely do not agree with that label. What is a bourgeois? Why am I a bourgeois?
You're an elite. You're an elite. You are in that class of the society.
Because I have a law degree?
But let me tell you,
well, because I have a law degree?
There is huge poverty in the land, Ismail. There is huge poverty in the land. NBS says that
you think I don't know that?
More than about half of the nation's population is poor. In fact, they say over 153 million people are multidimensionally poor in this country. What do you think Bola Tinubu will do on the very first day in office to ameliorate the pains and the poverty that Nigerians are expecting, those who do not even have hope of what they will feed on tonight?
Well, I don't know if there's any silver bullet that will immediately eliminate poverty immediately on the first day. There's nothing like that. You know, places like America and the UK are still dealing with high levels of poverty, in different sectors or different portions of their society as well. But let me tell you this. I think the president-elect really understands that the job of a government is not to give jobs to people directly. The job of a government is to create a conducive environment so that jobs can be created and people can be employed. He also understands, and he always says this, he also understands that there is no way a large country like Nigeria would continue to run on a pay-all cash economy. So if you want to buy a bulb, if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a motorcycle or a bicycle, for example, you would have to cough up the 100% of that cash and lay it down before the owner will release it to you. And he said, look, there's no society that could grow a middle class and be able to lift people out of poverty with that kind of brutal way of survival. And then he also mentioned that the informal economy, because if you look at, for example, last year, if you look at the same statistics,
we're totally out of time.
If you look at it, there are people like if you open fish joints or Brazilian hair that people buy, $2 billion, $5 billion.
We're totally out of time,
It's not reflected in the formal economy. So I think those are the things that he would focus on how to create an enabling environment for people to get jobs. And I think that's the starting point.
Ismail Ahmed, lawyer, and as I said to President on special intervention and former national youth leader of the APC. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate it. Yeah. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye-bye.